Thanks. Thank you, Glenda. I stand right here, correct? Okay. All right, so today I'm going to talk to you about, we're in the live section of our presentation, and just a quick kind of story today that I'm going to share that really made a difference with something I do in my exercise program. And so set that goal and kind of rock your world is what we're going to talk about. 3 years ago, my wife and I set a goal between the week of Christmas and New Year's Eve. We always set goals for what we're going to do as a couple, and we set our personal goals too, but we set a goal. I had this book I'd had for like probably 20 years. 60 hikes within 60 miles of St. Louis. I go, Chris, why don't we start hiking? And so we set a goal to think, let's hike 100 miles. I go, I don't think that's enough. Let's set a goal to hike 150. So that was our goal for the year. And we didn't know if we could achieve it, but we had a pretty good idea we could. And I had a book to take us where some hikes could be in the woods. So we thought, let's do it. You know, things aren't always easy when you first start out. And I want to challenge everyone to be aware of looking at being uncomfortable to start something out in your exercise program. Everything is uncomfortable at first, but consistency, I think, is the key to breakthrough. With my own business, telemarketing that I offer, I always tell my clients, you know, being consistent, doing something, a little bit of calling every week on a consistent basis will be a great breakthrough to get new clients. So there's a lot of benefits if you don't give up. And we learned a lot of new things, and anytime you start out with a new exercise program, you know, make sure you take small steps and just build up to it. I want to talk about some stories of challenge and being uncomfortable, because I think that's a great way to have you be aware of other people have overcome trials. And keep in mind, you know, trials and tribulations we come across, especially maybe if we're looking at something to increase our health, and as business owners, it's so important. We have a lot of different things going on, including maybe some stress with our business. I find I do an exercise program at the YMCA every morning before work. So I'm there about 6:15 in the morning. When I come out of there at 7:15, 7:20, I'm ready for the day. It sets me, it gets my endorphins working. I'm ready to hit my office and start doing calling, and it makes a huge difference in my life. Couple stories of challenge. You know, for years, all the runners in the world thought you couldn't break the 4-minute barrier mile. But there was a guy named Roger Bannister, and he just felt in his heart he could run and achieve and break that barrier. And he did that in 1954. He ran, I think it was like a 3-minute, 59-second mile, but it had never been done. It was a mindset, and a lot of people thought, it's uncomfortable, I'll never be able to do it, it's not there. But he achieved that goal, so that's huge. Another story that I love, this story about Christy Brown. He was born in the early 1900s. He was number 10 of 22 kids in a family. Born with cerebral palsy. The only thing he could move was his left foot. But he took that challenge. It was very uncomfortable, but he focused, and he did some great things. He became a painter and an author. And you might have seen that movie, My Left Foot, with Daniel Day-Lewis. It's a great, great story. But I thought it was great. His first paycheck, royalty check, back in the mid-1900s or whatever, when he had authored his first book, it was for $370,000. And I just thought that story there and how he was able to help his family, it's huge. So be aware, and I don't know if I said this, but you know, we have trials and tribulations, but a trial always has an expiration date. It has the shelf life. So if you're going through something, be aware it has that expiration date. It's not going to be hanging on all the time. That's huge. I always look at that. Another story is Sarah Jane Parker. They call her the fit cookie. She was paralyzed with fear. She had a fear of a lot of different things in her life. And a friend of hers challenged her to take up rock climbing. In my days of doing a lot of different athletic type sports, I've done rock climbing in Colorado, and it's very, very challenging, and it's very focused. You have to, as you're climbing a rock crevice up this mountainside, you've got special shoes on, they carry that bag of chalk, and you're climbing from crevice to crevice looking for each spot that you can put your hand on to grip, and then also your feet as you climb. So it really helped her to focus and become able to overcome her fear of a lot of different fear phobias she had. Great story there. Again, being uncomfortable, you got to realize, moves you into a comfortable area down the road. Another lady was Chris Olson, 48 years old. They call her the no limits running person. Within 2 years, she lost her father, one of her brothers, and one of her best friends. And she was helping be a caretaker to her father and her brother as they went through cancer areas. So it just was very depressing for her. She became obese. She ate a lot. Again, a trial, but has an expiration date. A friend of hers challenged, say, you ought to go out and run some 5K races. She goes, what? And so she took that challenge. The first race that she did, she walked most of it, but eventually, she accomplished that goal and was able to run and run and run, and it made a big, big difference, and it helped her lose weight. And so it's a great story about meeting that challenge and coming to an answer for it. So there's a lot of benefits when you look at something that you're going to challenge in your exercise program. It's going to be uncomfortable at first, but I challenge you to get out and do something different. Chris and I, we love camping. We come from that hiking world, but we really put it in real strong. A lot of Friday afternoons and Saturdays and Sundays, especially in the winter months, we're out hiking 3 to 4 miles each day. And we found it to be something we really liked. We love being out in Mother Nature, the blue skies, it's just beautiful. And it really helped because my wife has my undivided attention on a walk. So that conversation we have, it's all hers and mine, and I'm very attentive to what she's saying. So it has made a big, big difference in our marriage. I mean, it's totally changed some things, and we love hiking in the woods. So we pushed our goals, and something that we went an extra step after the second year, we started taking our vacations and moving them to places where we could go hike. So we went that extra effort, and it has turned to be a great, great program. For 2 years, the past 2 years, at the end of the summer before Labor Day, we've gone to northern Georgia. We have a timeshare resort there, so we have a place to stay for a week. And the parks and the places that we explored there are phenomenal. Never been to northern Georgia in our lives. We went there and went to a lot of different state parks. And most of them you hike into 2 or 3 miles. There is a 100-foot, 200-foot waterfall back in the mountains and the woods that you hike to. I mean, almost all of them. We hiked part of the Appalachian Trail, which was one of my goals. So we didn't do the whole trail, but we did a portion of it. And I can now say I've hiked the Appalachian Trail. It's great. But another great vacation trip that we had oriented to hiking, we try to go out to Vegas every year around the Thanksgiving week. So we planned 4 days to go out ahead of that, and we went out on a Wednesday night, flew into Vegas, rented a car. The next day we're up at 7 in the morning driving to Zion National Park in Utah. So we had some trails there we wanted to do, and Chris had been there with a friend years earlier, and they just traveled through the park. They didn't do much hiking because this friend of hers was not a hiker. But she always wanted to go back, and on Friday last year, November 17th, which is our anniversary, it was our 38th anniversary, we hiked Angel's Landing. And I want to encourage everyone, when you get home today, Google Angel's Landing in Zion National Park. It's an incredible hike. You climb up about a 1,500-foot mountain. And the last quarter mile is about an 18% grade. It's very challenging. You're using chains to climb up the side of the mountain a little bit, so not everybody goes up that last quarter mile to get up to the very top. But it's breathtaking, it's very challenging. when we got to the starting point of that, I was unsure whether I was going to do it. And my wife said, okay, well, I'm going with or without you. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be a baby. I'm not going to stay here and eat my health bar. I'm going with you, So it was worth the climb. We did that, and it was a super challenging climb. You get up the top, and literally, I could envision angels coming in on this landing platform up at the top. It's incredible. Super windy that day. It was November 17th, so it was pretty cool. Very windy up there, but man, it was phenomenal. We also went to Bryce Canyon. If you've never been there, the hoodoos are incredible. It's just awesome hiking in the Bryce Canyon area. Then also we were in Las Vegas that next week. Fortunately, we hooked up with a good friend of my family member out there, and her son-in-law had lived there in Vegas, so he knew the area, and he took us on a couple great hikes that were just incredible. This is a hike we did down from Las Vegas Lake that you hike out into the platform areas, and it was just gorgeous. But, make your uncomfortable, turn it into a comfortable goal, especially in your exercise program. I challenge you. And don't ever give up, on the beauty and the excitement of being alive. Every day I get up from my bed, I thank God I'm alive and that I can go out and do the things that I do, because there's a lot of great beauty out in the world, especially the world of God made for Mother Nature. The blue skies, the mountains, the streams, the valleys, all that. I love getting in touch with that because it's so pretty. So I challenge you, dare you to start. If you're not doing some kind of exercise program, step out and do something. If you're doing a couple things but you want to try something different, I encourage you to do that, because that's what we did. We fell in love with hiking, and we've made it a huge goal. And so hiking 150 miles a year is just awesome. And just do it. I put some samples of some things you might do, from walking to kayaking to spinning, running, volleyball, baseball, kickboxing, judo, fishing. There's so much you can do, and maybe make it a little bit different. Turn your uncomfortable into the comfortable and meet your challenge. Thanks. Any questions? Dale?
Yeah, not a question so much as a comment. My wife and I also do a fair amount of hiking and camping, and that there are just literally thousands of trails within a several hour, 3 to 4. Most of our trips are 4 to 5 hour drive time to get there, and they're just gorgeous trails in all the surrounding states as well as here in Missouri. So you don't have to go a great distance in order to enjoy them.
The other thing I meant to share too is we've learned a lot of trails that we didn't know about, and one of the things we do when we hike the woods and we come across other people hiking, we ask them, what's your favorite trail? And so we have discovered new trails that we didn't know anything about by talking to people who hike, so they're doing it also, and it's a great way to share and meet people and hear stories, and we found some incredible trails. I could take you places that you've never been within 60 miles of St. Louis that you would say, wow, this is Missouri? It's pretty cool.
John, to your point, there's a wonderful website called Only in Missouri. And I'm not sure if it's onlyinmissouri.com. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but if you Google Only in Missouri, you'll find it. So Kim Baker sent this to me, who many of you know here, sent this, and it's marvelous. It comes up on by email every day or 2 days or 3 days or whatever. And it's got a whole series of interesting things. These 10 restaurants you'll never want to miss, or springs in Missouri that you can, or these 10 hiking trails are the tops in Missouri, or these parks, or these places of interest. Anyway, it's marvelous because it's got all of these things, and they're all right here in Missouri. So there are similar sites only in Nevada, only in Arkansas, or whatever. But to your point about showing you places within 60 miles, it's right on that in that same vein.
So I'm going to share 2 favorite trails of mine. One is Pickle Springs down near Farmington. Great hiking trail. Anybody can do it. It's about a 2-mile trail. It has the neatest geological areas on it that's really cool. And then I suggest to hike that clockwise because you end up at the top of a cliff at the end of the hike, and then you finish out. Another great place to go hiking, there's some really cool trails by the Missouri Conservation Department. You go out to Highway 44 to Eureka, go left on Highway 109, go down to Highway, I think it's F or double F, and make a right. And down that road are a number of trails. You'll see them marked to hike that are just gorgeous trails. Any other questions, or are we done? Or, Will?
John, Kara said my exercise regimen includes bar hopping, which is probably true.
Well, there's a little walking involved with that. I've done that before.
My question is there a different level, there's different levels of hikes. Is there a way that we could find out what those are, or are the trails typically marked for easy, difficult, that kind of stuff?
If you Google the trail, it'll give you all the information you need to know. Difficulty or strenuous, things like that. So yes, my wife is the main person who looks up trails, information on them, and they will tell you, yeah, it's a pretty fierce trail or it's a very easy hiking trail. And they'll give you the distance, and they'll say it should take about an hour, hour and a half to do. So very, very easy to look up online.
Yeah, and to your point, there's also the Missouri Conservation Department has a book. It's about 2 inches thick that has all the trails and a lot of information about what you're going to encounter on the trail. So, and it's not really that expensive. I don't remember what we paid for it, but very, very helpful.
Okay, thank you very much.
One other one, just